Welcome and thanks for joining us for our Week 15 review of the NFL here at Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We're going to break down all the key games, the action from a very busy Week 15, exciting Week 15. We're going to take a look at our FourFold comp, our ATS picks comp. We're going to look at our Fantasy Gameday winner. And we're going to do some winners and losers, as always, and have a look at Thursday Night Football. Far more important Thursday Night Football this week. Actually has something on it. I'm joined as always by Byron and Joe. Gentlemen, welcome. It's Week 15. Week 15 review. It's wild. Yeah, how have we got here so quick?
Yeah, it's flown by. Really business end of the season now, last 3 weeks. Like you say, every game kind of matters now. Even Thursday Night Football, they can't pawn a bad one off on us again.
Yeah, you're not sneaking another one of those on us. And we'll get to the fallout of Chargers Raiders. Don't have to talk about too much of the game later on. Do you think Joe got the emphasis on Week 15 review while he's sat there with Week 15 preview over Drew Lock there on the screen?
I think I'm going to kill the preview, to be fair. I think Drew Lock's going to beat the Eagles. I think Dallas might not compete too much with Buffalo. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting preview show. Brandon Staley might not last a week.
Yeah, I mean, let's see if those takes come to fruition. You'll know by the end of the show. We're going to get into it, and we're just going to fly through our FourFold challenge. There's loads to talk about, so we're just going to talk about the games as they come, and it'll give Joe the opportunity to edit that background in a much smaller area of the screen. Our FourFold challenge continues. Someone is finally eliminated from contention. And to be fair, with how bad I've been at this, I'm surprised it took me 15 weeks to be out of contention. Yeah, pretty rough week for me. I'm sure Joe's got it somewhere. Horrendous with the favourites. I took Atlanta at the Panthers, and we don't need to spend any more time on the game than this. 9-7 Panthers. Panthers beat the Falcons. I suppose take away from this one, you could have got into the game for less than the price of a coffee. I think it was 45 cents. The tickets were going for. You could get them on the ticket resale apps. And even at that price, nobody wanted to go.
Yeah, some of the pictures from that game, I know it was raining really heavy to people in the concourse, but it looked 10% full. Like, I'm sure it was more full when the game was actually playing. Some of the pictures were probably a little misleading, but wow, it's been a rough 6 years for David Tepper, and it's kind of showing itself now. When you're getting 50-cent tickets, you know it's really going badly. I don't even think Washington, whatever name they were, under Dan Schneider towards the end, I don't think you were getting 50-cent tickets even when they weren't selling them. But yeah, rough in Carolina. But big win for them, fun win for them. Arthur Smith, they've decided to change quarterback again, back to Taylor Heineke this week.
Yeah, I mean, if he's flipping, he's flopping. I mean, I think if this game had happened maybe a couple of weeks earlier, like this game pickup, they'd have just fired Arthur Smith. It just feels pointless. You've got 3 games to go. What's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you guys did the playoff, and just shout out, we've got the playoff predictor episode that Byron and Joe have done that's up, so go give it a listen. But Atlanta out now, it's just straight Saints Bucks for the NFC South now.
Well, it's the NFC South. That's the problem. You could see next week Tampa Bay and Saints losing, and then they're all on 8-8. Is that what record they are now? Or the 7-7? 7-7. So that they'll all be 7-8. So yeah. Even though it feels like they're out of it, it's the NFC South where, I don't know. But I think we chatted about this during the prediction. That's the hardest division to pick because they could be good one week and then next week have an absolute stinker. So I do think it's probably a 2-horse race, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're all on the same record next week or going into the final week.
Yeah, I mean, just ludicrous. I know the weather in the game, stuff like that made it a bit difficult. So there was torrential downpour, but again, ludicrous use of the offensive talent again from Bijan. I know it was the fumble, but Jay Kyle Pitts, it was just your thing. And we saw Heineke. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure that's going to make things any better. Really, we've seen him twice already.
No, and Falcons dominated the win percentage up until about 4 minutes remaining in the game. They just can't push the ball. They can't put the will on teams, and it feels like we say it a lot, but like you've got Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, all 3 top 8 skill position players. And I know the weather, whatever. He's got 7 points against this Carolina Panthers team. It's unacceptable. And yeah, I think Arthur Smith, he needs to win out to keep his job, I think. And I kind of hope that isn't enough because I can't wait to see him gone, truthfully.
I think for the benefit of the people in Atlanta and us in the NFL and people's fantasy football teams, just Arthur Smith needs to go. That's up there. Desmond Ridder, I'm going to say that's up there. That interception when Drake London was stood free in the end zone is as bad as the Mac Jones one in Germany, and also maybe the Bailey Zappi fake spike one as well, up there with some of the worst. And Nick Mullins, that was horrendous as well, where he threw it to the guy on the floor in front of him. Up there with the worst interceptions of the year.
Yeah, I think, new quarterback, new head coach, I think in town for Atlanta. They're not going to be picking early enough to get a great quarterback, but we'll see. Maybe Justin Fields might be an option. Will be my bet anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, if they were interested in Lamar Jackson, they probably won't be in Justin Fields. Enough about that. Let's move on. Byron, your favourite was the Commanders. No, it was the Rams at home to the Commanders. Rams minus 6.5. A lot closer than many thought. So the Rams won this one 28-20. Got a bit nervy at the end for the cover.
It didn't it just, yeah. I was very relieved when I seen Commanders line up to go for 1, and then they missed the 1 anyway. But I thought if they get the 2 and cost me this FourFold, as it ended up being, I guess, or free, I'll be very frustrated because the Rams should have put them away a number of times. Matthew Stafford was throwing some beautiful balls around, just never quite managed to push ahead as much as I thought they would. I thought, be looking at a 40 burger from the Rams because Commanders have basically given up on the year. But they stayed in it. Jacoby Brissett came in and looked a pretty marked improvement, I thought, on Sam Howell, who's had ups and downs through the year, but he's very clumsy and he invites pressure. And he's in his first year as a starter, as a 5th round pick, prior draft. So I'm not going to say that's his career or anything. But Brissett looks like a professional quarterback, and obviously it's who gets injured throughout the year. But it's kind of stunning. You see some of the quarterbacks we've had this year, and this is Jacoby Brissett making his first. Well, he won't be starting, but his first real action. And he would be an upgrade for so many teams. But that's why Commanders want a good backup. That's why they're paying him what they're paying him. So,
yeah. I mean, I suppose you got to know that. I know we'll go over to the Rams because more important for kind of what's coming up the Rams. But that drive for the Commanders to score that touchdown to make it 28-20. They got to the 1 yard line with 4 minutes 55 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. And didn't punch it in until 1 minute 50 to go. It took them 3 minutes 5 seconds of game time and 10 plays to move the ball 1 yard, net 1 yard. I've never seen anything like it. It was incredible.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it was initially ruled a touchdown for Terry McLaurin. I kind of think it was.
Yeah, it was reversed.
And you think you could have just saved so much time just giving the touchdown. You'd have saved half the game. Matthew Stafford might have went and put up another touchdown to Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua. But as it was, instead, we just got to see Washington, run the 4-minute offense from the goal line. A sentence I never thought I'd say. It was odd to watch. And as someone who had the 6.5 here, I'm thinking, oh my God, Washington going to go for 2. Just like, give me some more time because the Rams will go and kick a field goal and that'll be the game. That's fine. And as time's getting closer and closer, I'm like, I'm going to get absolutely screwed here. But they held on, and Washington, they are talent deficient compared to the Rams, certainly, but I think the head coaching deficiency is obviously there as well. Ron Rivera, I think, is on his last few games in Washington, thankfully, again.
Yeah.
And he also helped us out, Paul, with the under as well, because I think it was 48. So if they went for the 2 points and got it, we would have lost out by 0.5. So I was happy they went for the 1 and then missed it. I was just hoping that the Rams just didn't break a big run and score a useless touchdown to cost us that. But we all won, so can't complain.
Yeah, Rams off the back of that overtime defeat in Baltimore took care of business eventually. But yeah, look at it. I don't think this is a team on the NFC side of things that you want. I think they're going to be a tough out as a wild card team. I still think the Rams get in. I know, apologies for creeping in on your playoff predictor show. I think the Rams get in, but when you've got that combination of Stafford, that running game is back, and it's Kyron Williams looks incredible. Cooper Kupp's looking back to his best at times. This and a defense we've talked about that has somebody with the capabilities of Aaron Donald. I think they're going to be a real tough out, and I think they could cause an upset on the road somewhere in the playoffs.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Matthew Stafford's playing some really good ball. As long as he's protected, I'd certainly fancy them to go toe-to-toe with Philadelphia right now. You look at if Drew Lock can sling it all over them. Matthew Stafford, Kupp, and Puka Nacua, I'm sure would have some fun.
Yeah. Next two key, Saints on Thursday Night Football, and then at Giants in Week 17. And then you don't know where the Niners are going to be in Week 18, whether they might be already secured the number one seed. So, yeah, definitely the next two. I think they win the next two they're in. But, yeah, Rams looking in good shape, back to 500. Joe, you were at Sunday Night Football. You were on the Ravens at Jaguars. Ravens -3.5 at Jaguars. Scoreline-wise, looked comfortable. How the hell did Jacksonville not win this game? Jacksonville hammered them.
Yeah.
Well, I was hammered. Can you hammer someone if you can't put it away at the end? You know what I mean? If you run into the left and just dropping the ball for no apparent reason, just to it must have had some money on the under at halftime. Just because I was in it's just like no one even hit him. So obviously it seems like he's got a little bit of fumbling problem. That is fumbled a few, and then it made that at the end of the half. I think that's the worst decision where you just threw it horizontally and. Like, you just can't do that. You either spike it or you throw it in the end zone, just give it a shot. You just can't do that. And it's little things. I know me and Byron talked about a few weeks ago where Lawrence was supposed to be, cream of the crop coming in. He was supposed to be the next generational talent. And there's little things like that where I think he's going to be a good quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be a great or an all-timer. And obviously left with a concussion, so he might be out next week as well. And obviously they're joint leaders with Colts and Texans now. So, a couple of weeks ago, we were penciling in Jags for, they could get the one seed and they could, have a good playoff run here. And now it's like, are they even going to make the playoffs? Because if, next week, if CJ Beathard's starting, you're not going in there confident, thinking you're going to win. It's, a bit of a shake-up call for Jackson. And I think the defense is obviously dropped as well. I think from the start of the season, they were playing well and they're just not getting the turnovers or performing like the worst, and the offense is not covering up. So I know they've had a few injuries, but every team has, so you can't really use that as an excuse. The Ravens roll on, where they're just one of them teams who know how to win comfortably. So seems all good.
Went by 16-2 scores, but I was on the over, and watching this was mortifying. The missed field goals from Jacksonville, the fumble in the red zone by Lawrence, the end of that first half. There's 13 points, maybe more, left on the field, and that it's 11 for the over. And how also not happy with the replay guys because that Calvin Ridley catches a touchdown all day long.
That helped me with my fantasy game because the other guy had Ridley, and I think I won by like 3 points. So I was happy with that. It was miles out of bounds. What are you on about?
Yeah, no, ridiculous. I mean, they had pieced it all together. Anyway, Jaguars in massive trouble now. Miss Lawrence, they go to Tampa. So just talked about the AFC South. Not easy. Baker's playing well. We'll touch on the Buccaneers later. And they've still got. I think they've still got a rough run. I was trying. Was that the? Oh no, it's Panthers, Titans. They're going to need to win that division. Might you need to win out now?
Maybe with two other teams in it. It's hard to say that two will be enough. Like,
Texas got to win without CJ Stroud. He'll be back. Colts looking pretty decent. Yeah, real interested and in trouble. And especially if they have to go, if they get into a wild card team, they're done. There's no way they win a game on the road in the playoffs. I don't think. At home, maybe they've got half a chance. Lamar, are we down to Lamar and Purdy now for MVP after what happened with Dallas?
I think it depends. Yeah, I think the Christmas Day is big. I think think if 49ers win comfortably, it's in between. It feels like Purdy and McCaffrey, depends who has the biggest game. Probably Purdy be the favorite. I think if Baltimore squeezes it out, just win, I think Jackson would be the favorite, but they've still got some tough games going forward. So I think it's definitely in between them. But I think that Christmas Day game's massive for if one of them have balls out and hits 4 or 5, 4 touchdowns and no interceptions, and you're like, okay, they've won it. So I think it's down to that game, really.
Yeah, I think you'll see, and probably mentioned on Sunday Night Football, I'm sure Collinsworth mentioned this, but Lamar Jackson, he'll never necessarily, you never see kind of the gaudy numbers, especially in the passing game from him. But I think some of the plays he made at times, in particular, I think from a defensive perspective, one of the things that you've got to do, and the Jaguars did a real good job, is getting pressure on him. But they just couldn't bring him down. They got the pressure on him. The pass rush from the Jaguars was excellent at times. Just couldn't bring him down. And ultimately, he punished them, and some of the Houdini plays might remind you of kind of like some Patrick Mahomes stuff, or shout out Tony Romo, particularly great in those situations of just kind of somehow staying upright, and then finding the pass down the field. But some incredible stuff at times from Lamar. Keaton Mitchell injured with a frankly nobody's knee should bend that way. Disgusting. Oh, it was awful. Don't go see a slow-mo or anything like that. It is gross. That's him done. How big of an impact on that? Because it's kind of a running back by committee approach for the Ravens, but he was kind of like the home run threat.
Yeah, I think it's potentially a big one because the home run threat becomes Lamar again. Gus Edwards is a pounder, Justice Hill pass catcher, but not super quick. I mean, it's Melvin Gordon who's been promoted to the active roster in place of Keaton Mitchell. Melvin Gordon hasn't been a fast running back, I think, since he was at Wisconsin. So was he at Wisconsin even? Since he was in college. He's from Wisconsin. He's from just near me, Kenosha. But yeah, Melvin Gordon hasn't been known for his speed for a long time. Is kind of my point. And Keaton Mitchell, it was such a nice. I loved how it was multifaceted, their run game. It wasn't just ground and pound. You had Lamar and you had Keaton Mitchell as like, he was quick. He could hit, David A-chain style. He just go the length of the field in a heartbeat, and I think that's a huge loss. You were talking there about Lamar Jackson's play as well. There was one in particular that the catch for Isaiah Likely, where I think it's Dwayne Smoot, the Jags D end, was just like chasing him, got to him a second time, and you seen him just sat on the ground, just like, what the fuck am I meant to do? It was just one of my favorite Lamar games watching him because, like you said, the stats aren't going to be gaudy, but goodness me, he's one of the few players that, like, in a complimentary way, like I just burst out laughing watching because he doesn't look like a regular human being playing the sport. He looks like almost like an alien. Just quarterbacks aren't meant to do what Lamar Jackson does and just like dances past defenders and pings it downfield perfectly to, second year backup tight end.
Yeah. The win got the Ravens inevitably in the playoffs, which we know is all going to happen. Could, with the win against the Niners and results going their way, they could seal the AFC North on Christmas Day. Let's move on. Joe, no, that was your favourite. We've talked about the Rams. Dan was also Dan Horton from the Utter Punts podcast was our guest. His favourite was also the LA Rams. Let's move on to the pathetic Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm out on Mike Tomlin as an underdog now. No more bets for me. Steelers as an underdog. It all started so well. They got the punt block. Defense was looking good to start with, and then they just got nothing from the offense, and the Colts scored 30 unanswered points. Colts won this one 30-13 on this was the second game of the Saturday triple header. Colts moved to 8-6. Pittsburgh Steelers back to 500 at 7-7. Pathetic. It's your favorite word to describe a lot of things, Byron, on this show, but pathetic from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is that fair?
100%. Did you see George Pickens' statement today as well?
No, I saw him not bother to run block, which was fun.
Yeah, that's what it's in relation to. So Jaylen Warren trying to get in the end zone. Would you like to guess what George Pickens' excuse was? Joe, join in if you haven't seen his comment. I'm surprised he addressed it.
I had something in my eye.
Is it going to be same like I just didn't see the ball? Like the other wide receiver did the other time
No.
on the Steelers.
You see what happened to Tank Dell?
Yes, yeah.
That is George Pickens' excuse.
Ah.
Genuinely. You
Not
don't
quite
need,
the same.
yeah, you don't want to start blocking low because anything can happen. You can get injured.
Not quite the same situation. Tank Dell on the end of the line versus Josh Pickens out in space.
1-on-1.
1-on-1.
I cannot believe that that's a real thing. I mean, George Pickens seems like a bit of a head case. George, you're welcome to come on the show and defend that. Please do. But
open invite, yeah.
Open, yeah. He seems like a bit of an odd character. That is one of the weirdest statements I've ever seen an athlete make. It's a run block. Like, you know, we talked about this early in the year, and it's been highlighted by 49ers writers and journalists. I'm sure Joe's mentioned it as like, fucking, I love seeing Brandon Ayuk on run plays because he just goes down the field and fucking blocks his ass off. Juwan Jennings does it every single game. Christian McCaffrey even gave Juwan Jennings a special shout out, I think, on the Manning cast last night about how well he does it. And then you've George Pickens, who's too good to fucking make a block. Get out of here. Pathetic.
I think Big Ben Roethlisberger, just have to say Big Ben, you can't say Ben, can you? Mentioned kind of in the week on his podcast and show around like the end of the kind of the Steelers tradition, the Steelers way of doing things, the tough grind it out. Yeah, that's gone. I think we're going to see the end of Tomlin, and they might win another game or two. I don't think they're going to get in the playoffs now because there's kind of two of the last three they needed to have really. Certainly the two before. Getting beat by the Colts, no shame, but the manner. And we're potentially handing the reins over to Mason Rudolph if Kenny Pickett can't go.
Yeah, it's Christmas.
I feel a bit crazy to get rid of Tomlin. I think if he leaves, then he'll be the number one choice for any coaching hires. I think it's ridiculous. He's had a winning season. Yeah,
I think that's probably right, but I also don't think. I think it's right that he'll walk into another job. Really, it kind of reminds me of the Andy Reid thing with Philly, though. Like, I think a party on the ways might be best for both. Like, I don't think Tomlin's going to struggle to find another job. Yeah, but I think it's good for him to get out of Pittsburgh as well. Because do you think just hear the same thing too much from people sometimes?
Yeah, but I'm guessing it's one of the things. Like, I feel like this is what the NFL is about. If you haven't got a good quarterback, then you're not going to do anything. If they had a good quarterback, they would be a lot better and coaches the defense and all that kind of stuff. But when you haven't got just even a capable quarterback, like you said, you just fucked. So there's no head coach really can coach around that. Even the best coaches, when people go down, is still struggling.
The best one manages it. Your head coach, but the majority.
Well, no. When Jimmy G went out a few years ago, they went 4 and something, and that's how they got Nick Bosa. So when you're playing like Nick Mullins at quarterback and things like that, you're not going to have a good season.
Yeah, so. And I'm not convinced this is any better. That these games would have gone any different if Kenny Pickett does play. No. And Mike Tomlin was, if you don't know what happens behind closed doors, from what you read and see and hear, Mike Tomlin was huge on taking Kenny Pickett. They saw him all the time. He played in that building for the Pitt Panthers in college. They were in love with him. They made a bad choice. And ultimately, I think Tomlin's tied to that a bit as well. Of course, he's got as long a leash as anybody in the NFL, but there's a bit around. It just needs a change, I think, because I think you're just in this rut where he'll get you to somewhere around 500. I think we might see the end of the 500 and above this year. Don't see them winning 2 games. But where you just needs a bit of a reset and going, well, actually, we're just going to keep going round and round with this team, just in that 1 game above, 1 game below 500 potentially area, because you don't see that how it's going to be, how they're going to get good enough to drastically improve, and they're not going to be so bad because where they're just going to tank either. So it's very similar to some of the NFC South teams. Like, what's the point? I think it just needs, if you're ambitious to win a championship, I think you need to blow it up a little bit.
I think if it was another team, I could see that. But, the Steelers tradition is to have they had 4 head coaches in 100 years and stuff like that. So I think unless Tomlin wants to leave, where Tomlin says, okay, I'm ready for a new start, that's the only way. I can't see them just firing him and him being unhappy about it. I just don't think the owners are like that. So
yeah, fair. Yeah, I think they're underdogs again this week, but I will be steering clear of them against the
I
Bengals.
might put some money on then.
Yeah, probably a good idea, actually. Just fade me. We're in a bad run at the minute. The Colts, 8-6, in that mix for the AFC South. They could quite easily go on and win that, right? Like, they look good again. They're winning, the right kind of football. They just killed the Steelers with a run at times. With their third and fourth string running backs.
Yeah, Shane Steichen should be. I don't know what the odds are right now, but he's got to be up there as one of the favourites for Coach of the Year. If he's not the favourite right now, he's, if you look at what the team was start of the season compared to what it is now, and just those skill positions, goodness me, he's getting a lot out of not a huge amount.
It's still Dan Campbell, which I'm fine. I find ridiculous. It's Campbell, D'Amico Ryans, Shane Steichen. Wild.
Yeah, Steichen would be my bet of those three.
Yeah. Crazy. And yeah, you look 8 wins now. One more win, 2 more wins. You're in. You're gonna get 2 more wins for a wild card. If they win out, surely they'll win the division. They play the Texans, don't they, in week 18? So yeah, good run for the Colts and well done. I thought I had them like 3 wins and 2 ties. That's as good as it was gonna get.
2 ties.
Still no goddamn tie yet.
Could still get those 2 ties though as well.
Could do. I mean, it's gonna happen. One was close. Titans Texans was very close to a tie this week. So. Hopefully, but we'll move on. Steelers. I was on the Steelers, so was Dan. Yeah, it was never coming. Byron, let's go to your push. This stopped you from going hitting the FourFold. You ended up, spoiler, but you went 3-0-1. The push. How did the Chicago Bears end up losing this game? 17-20 against the Cleveland Browns. How did the Bears lose this game?
Bears were 17-7 going into the fourth quarter as well. This might be the most staggering non-win of the season. I do not know. I bet the Bears money line. I bet the Bears handicap, the free spread here. I bet the Bears defense score a touchdown, which they did. I thought they'd have Joe Flacco's number. I wouldn't go that far, but I knew they'd get interceptions. I knew they'd get pressure. I do not know how they didn't win this game. Even right down to the end, the Hail Mary right at the end. I think it's Robert Tonyan goes up to it, knocks it down. Daniel Mooney just lay on the ground like, hey, here I am. I'm just going to catch this and win this game. Oh, no, I've decided to loop it into the air and kick it at a defensive player. And it's another interception. Robert Tonyan is, Justin Fields hits him beautifully 40 yards down the field. He's 30 yards
all day.
I'm not that sure he'd have managed to hold off the defender all the way into the end zone, but it's a huge play and it's at least 3 points. And Robert Tonyan instead decides to try and practice juggling blindfolded with one ball, and it went as well as you'd expect, badly. I do not know how the Bears lost this game. I was frustrated because it was on my FourFold. I bet it was on my biggest single game. I've said all week going into this game last Tuesday on our preview, I believe in the Bears again. Like, the defense has been playing really well the second half of the season. The offense has been a lot of improvement, not just a tick of improvement. That's a bit unfair. Justin Fields has looked good the last few weeks. And, if everything broke right, there was a very outside chance they could make the playoffs. We done our predictor show last week, and we just had them missing out by some tiebreaker, I believe it ended up being. And none of that was like me, like, Joe, you must pick the Bears. We've got to do it. They're all winnable games. This was a hugely winnable game, and I think that probably puts the season to bed. And I think probably puts, maybe a bit harshly, but I think it probably puts Matt Eberflus's Chicago reign to bed as well. I'm happy if that is the case, because I think it would have been like, band-aid over a bullet wound or whatever the term is, of like, he doesn't need another year. He's not going to get any market improvement, but just the way they played down the stretch, I think is notable and is an improvement, but I don't think it's there long-term with the current coaching staff. So I think they do need a good clear out. For the 5th time in the last 90 seconds, I cannot believe they lost this game.
I think they're going to keep him. Like, they're going to see that how this defense improved, and then we're going to give him Caleb Williams, or heck, they might even just keep Justin Fields. I can see them being dumb. I said no way they wouldn't be that stupid. They could be that stupid. This one,
franchises who would be, they are one of them.
Yeah, I mean, you can't believe they said 2017. There was 8 punts to start this game. Yeah, like, it was pretty putrid. 2 defenses, long ahead. Huge games. Flacco did have the 3 interceptions, but he also had 74 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Amari Cooper, David Njoku had a beast of a game. We'll come on to that from a fantasy game day perspective later. Just huge game for the Browns. Browns at 9-5, looking good. One more win and they'll be in. Real tough defense, real tough defense to play against. But Flacco's giving them more than a chance each week to win games.
Yeah, Joe Flacco's playing really, really well. I mean, not unsurprisingly, what we would have thought, but unsurprisingly, looking at how he's played, he leads the league in passing yards per game and passing touchdowns per game. Joe Flacco.
Like he's been sat on his ass at home for weeks. All these teams that have needed quarterbacks.
Yeah, and they haven't even got a great offensive line. They've got so many injuries on their offensive line, so it's not like he's got all day to sit back and pick apart teams. He's just doing what Joe does best. Who would have thought, start the year that the best Browns quarterback is Joe Flacco at this point? Oh, imagine how much money we would have won if that was available.
Yeah. Joe Flacco to start a playoff game.
Yeah.
For Cleveland. He's got the same amount of passing touchdowns in 3 games as Deshaun Watson does in 6 in the same system.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know we're trying to avoid long hypothetical. What if Joe Flacco wins the Super Bowl with Cleveland? What do they do at quarterback next year if Joe Flacco doesn't want to retire?
Last time he won the Super Bowl, he got like whatever it was, $150 million contract. So why not give him another one?
I don't think Cleveland can afford it because they're paying their rapist $300 million. So, alleged rapist, sexual abuse, whatever word we're going with. So they can't even afford to pay him. Even if he just gets like $6 million, I just love the idea of sorry, Deshaun, you are backing up Joe Flacco.
Yeah, wild, great
Incredible.
story. And yeah, I think it's not obviously it's not nailed in yet, but we are going to see Joe Flacco start a playoff game. It's nuts. Yeah. Sure, there's no way the Browns lose out because that's what it's going to take at this point. 10 wins and you're in. Yeah. Wild game. And yeah, sadly again, the push for you, Byron, it stopped you getting your what would have been 3rd and 4th weeks? Would it have been FourFold?
I think it would have been 4th in 6 weeks.
4 in 6, yeah.
Unless I'm misremembering.
Yeah. Unlucky.
This is still a partial win. I got returned from the bookies.
You got half, you did. Let's move on. Joe, you took the Dallas. You're banned from taking the Dallas Cowboys again. You took the Cowboys, 1.5 point underdogs at the Buffalo Bills, and this was never really a contest. The Bills wiped the floor with the Cowboys, 31-10. It was your pick, Joe, so you can start.
Well, it's funny because I think on the preview we were like, well, how the hell is the Cowboys like +2 or +2.5? It's crazy. And then it's just like, yeah, there's a reason. This is coming back down to earth kind of game. I was more disappointed in the Cowboys than I was impressed with the Bills. I thought the Bills, the Bills played good, but it wasn't like, Josh Allen balled out and, I was just disappointed that the Cowboys defense just felt like it just wasn't up for the fight. And it feels, I don't know, obviously you guys watch the Cowboys more, but it feels a lot of times when they're down, they're down a few scores, they just don't change the defensive plan. It feels like, this is a plan we're going in with. It'll eventually come good. And it's just like, they're literally just running it down your throat. That's what they're going to do. So maybe make some adjustments. Yeah, you might not, it could be something simple. You don't have the players to make that adjustment, but surely you can change the scheme to stop what's happening, because it was fairly obvious when Allen only completed 7 passes.
Yeah, so if you just told me that beforehand, Josh Allen's only going to complete 7 passes, I thought I'd have told you the Cowboys would have won by 40 points. And if you're right, spot on with your analysis there, Joe. I think ultimately this Cowboys, the defense, the way it's built to play with a lead, and it's not, it's built to get after the quarterback and pass rush. It has been a relatively good run stopping unit as well. That has improved. It's just been blown apart twice by the Niners, and now against Buffalo. And I think criticism of and that's on Dan Quinn, I think, who doesn't deserve a lot of criticism, but I think, just failing to adjust. But you're right. I think you're right in the assessment. I thought, and that's headline, James Cook, 170 yards, run the ball. The Bills only started doing that when they were gifted 18 points by the Cowboys. Like, the Cowboys gave the Bills a head start and I'm not going to rate it. It's a couple of days now. I'm so angry about it. But the penalties extending that first drive, DeMarcus Lawrence roughing the passer call, which I think was a bit rough. You know, that extends the Buffalo drive that would have been a field goal. That's a touchdown. Actually, the Zach Martin one, I think actually went under the radar a little bit. So Buffalo Bills defense, by the way, scumbags, went headhunting for Dak multiple times when he slid and given himself up. How the second one didn't get thrown out the game. These refs are awful. But the Zach Martin one where you've got the Dak had run for the first down and you've got the 15 yards tacked on. So you're in field goal range. And then Zach Martin, understandably, protects his quarterback, negates the penalty. And then you've got the offensive penalty. It was just that. There were 4 of them. And there's 2, was it a pass interference one and another egregious one, defensive one.
There was that punt one. It was a
punt. Yeah, stay on your feet. You block the punt.
Yeah, punter's not punting from here.
Yeah, like if Sam Williams just stays on his feet, he scores.
Yeah,
like he's going to get that ball. Yeah, and I think that. So by the time Buffalo got to 21 points, that's when it took over. The running game took over and stuff like that. So. Yeah, it wasn't that's what got Buffalo into that position. I think it was a lot of the Cowboys' mistakes that gifted the Bills the lead. Oh, and Mike McCarthy not throwing that challenge flag. One, the ref should see that, or someone from New York should chime in going, that's a real obvious fumble. And McCarthy, you saw him speaking to the ref on the left, just throw your goddamn challenge flag.
Yeah.
And again, that's another 7-point swing. And it's just these bits, and all of a sudden, the Bills are 21 points up, 18, 21-3 up, and the game's gone. I'm done. Rant over.
Yeah, I also didn't like how Osiris Torrance just seemed to be pushing Mazzy Smith around the entire game. Once you get to that point of it being a run blocking exercise, it was just, Mazzy Smith's wearing his roller skates today. That is not what we would like to see.
Jonathan Hankins, a huge miss for that defense. And it was an opportunity for Mazzy Smith, and we've not seen too much of him.
Yeah.
And he's going to need to step up. And that was not good.
No. And yeah, I can't help but echo a lot of what you're saying, so I'm not going to repeat it all. But a lot of them are kind of inexcusable, but the worst one to me is Mike McCarthy not throwing the challenge flag. Like, you can't just sit on your ass and hope someone else bails you out. Just throw the fucking flag.
He was hoping for like a Pete Carroll to do a timeout so he could check.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't have Pete Carroll on the other side.
It's the point in the game. It was critical in the game.
Yeah, just take a chance, even if you... Yeah. Because you can't always wait for the film guy to confirm it upstairs.
And the clue was
the Bills are fucking rush
sprinting to get the next snap off. That's all.
Rightly so.
Yeah. Was that in the first half? It was in the first half, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was what led to the third touchdown, I think, wasn't it?
So it's not like I know timeouts are critical, but in the first half, it's not, as critical as, if it was the fourth quarter, I could understand it if they're wanting to keep, if it's a close game, but if there's not any doubt, just go for it. And then.
Yeah. And it's such a, turnovers change games so hugely.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like, did he get the first down or is he going to be an inch short? It's literally a change of possession. Like, you just...
And it's two critical mistakes stopped you from getting a special teams block and turnover and a defensive. So, I think, I agree. Like, Joe, your point, I think, there's a lot of noise about the Bills. I think, you still don't want to see that team in January if they get to the playoffs.
No.
Like, God, they can be dangerous. But, it wasn't as if... I think the optics of it I don't actually tell the story of what what really happened. Bills, though, massive for them. I think I've said this a few times. I think they can still afford to drop one game and they'll still get in. I think they win 2 out of 3 they're in. They win out, they need a favour, I think, now, still, right? Or if they win out, if they win out, they'll win the division, right?
If they win out, they'll win the division.
Yeah.
No, Dolphins have
behind.
And the Dolphins have got Cowboys and Ravens coming up.
Yeah.
So if the Dolphins win out, there's no chance. But if they have to win the next 2 games,
yeah. I mean, the Dolphins going to win both. That's tough. There's not been one good team yet. I mean, they're getting a prime one to be on Christmas Eve. But then the Ravens tough. So, I mean, I think if we can get that Week 18, I'd love that Dolphins Bills game to be for the division because I think that would be an incredible game. To finish up. James Cook incredibly good. I think he got more yards than the Cowboys managed, full stop, on his own.
And also, I don't know how you guys felt where McCarthy just kept everyone in at the end. With CeeDee Lamb limping around, and
I didn't care for it. I was kind of surprised because I was only watching that game for the first half, and then I put Red Zone on for the second half because he kind of knew. And then when he flipped back, and it's like, Dak and CeeDee Lamb still in there. It's 31-3 or whatever the score was at that point. Like, that feels a choice. Not sure who we're trying to prove a point to here. Maybe just take the L.
Yeah,
get everyone healthy for next week.
I'm not sure what that drive at the end got you. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, odd one. Right, let's move on. Enough Cowboys talk. Let's get to some picks that hit as well. Hi, three of us hit the over. So me and Joe both hit the over on Tampa, Green Bay. Tampa Bay with a huge win, 34-20. They're back to 7-7. Packers dropped to 6-8. I've said it a lot of weeks. Another hugely impressive performance from Baker Mayfield. It was electric.
He nearly got you the over by himself.
He did, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, rinse and repeat. Yeah, he threw for 4 touchdowns, yeah.
The first ever perfect passer rating in Lambeau for an opposing quarterback.
Yeah. Mentioned it. I think the Bucs are going to win the South. They're playing really, really good ball. On the road, they're, surprisingly good. They do keep games close. They've won a few. Rashad White, another great day from him. What performance what seasons he's had. And then, look, Mike Evans has had a couple of relatively quiet weeks, but Chris Godwin stepped up. Jesus, 10 catches for 155 yards. Huge game from Godwin. From the Packers' perspective, that Packers defense looked bad, and that's 2 weeks in a row. Bad against Tommy DeVito and the Giants. They look bad against the Bucs here. They've just fallen off after a couple of really impressive performances.
Yeah, and that's kind of, we talked about this a lot through the season, and you were early on this. Was like, the offense is young and they'll make rookie-ish mistakes. The defense is loaded with big name talent. They should not be the unit who's letting them down the stretch. They should be the ones who's holding things together while, Jordan Love and these band of young receivers, get their shit together. I thought Job, he's going to be out of this job, the defensive coordinator at the end of the year, because Lombardi's already like, we're not ready to comment on it. Everything's going to stay as it is for now. And it's like, you're sacking him at the end of the year, but I understand the reasoning of like what you're going to gain sacking him today. But it feels like a real wasted opportunity for Green Bay. But I do think, to be fair, Tampa Bay are the story here. You've been big on them all season, and I'd say since mid-season I've kind of been along for the ride as well. Of they're playing with spunk and moxie and character, and Baker Mayfield's kind of the embodiment of that. His little legs will try and run through and run over anybody.
It's brilliant, yeah.
Doesn't give a shit about, his size compared to the defenders who are trying to smash into him. And I do like as well, I'll see it from Baker Mayfield quite a lot. And Andrew Luck used to get so much credit from this. Like, Baker Mayfield, he'll help defenders back up. And I always love seeing that as just kind of like a throwback kind of thing. What a great contract year for Baker Mayfield as well. He's got to be the Tampa Bay starter next year.
Yeah, you'd think that Tampa would keep him around, and then if they get somebody in, again, if they do get into the playoffs, they're going to be drafting in the 20s. But do they take a project on or something? I don't know. But yeah, in a real good place with Baker. But then that's when we'll see bad Baker, obviously.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Tampa, real good shot of winning this division now. I think they've got. Do they finish with the Saints? No. They finish. I can't remember who they finish with, but they've got the Saints and the Panthers to play. I think I might.
Yeah, got the Jags, Saints, and finish with the Panthers.
Saints, Panthers. 2 wins if they win both those division games.
Yeah,
and if they're not having to play Lawrence, they play CJ Beathard. They could win. They could have 10 wins here.
Absolutely.
2 of the 3 at home, but I think if they win, at the minimum, if they win both those division games, they've won the division, and that'll be that. Packers need to win out, don't they? I think now.
Yeah, they've like I say, I find it so disheartening what's happening with Green Bay because they've become like a team I like rooting for.
Yeah, winning against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football, and then Monday night against the Giants, and then following it up against the Bucs.
Yeah, but yeah, it's winning out if there's any chance to get in. I think at this point.
Yeah, return of Aaron Jones, which was good to see. He's struggled with injuries all year, and Just wasn't enough. I think we're going to see a big leap from the Packers next year, though. But we'll plenty of time to talk about that after. Byron, your over was Chiefs. Patriots, 27-17 in what was a really odd game of football.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to describe it. It was just an odd game. There's a lot of times during this as well, I was like, I couldn't find a better over than this one because it always kind of looked like it was gonna hit. There's only one touchdown in the fourth quarter. It wasn't like it was a late scramble to get there. But like there's so many times I'm like, this is kind of just a nothing burger of a game, and it's a weird one. And I was like, why did I pick this game? But it was a 37 with Patrick Mahomes was kind of my entire reasoning, to be fair. McKinnon had a relatively big game, got himself a passing touchdown.
Yeah. Mahomes was on the field as well. It was odd.
Yeah, as someone who had Patrick Mahomes in a couple of fantasy leagues, I was not too impressed with that. But, you take what you get when you have Andy recalling players. It happens here and there. I don't think this was a huge bounce back for the Chiefs or anything, but just professional, took care of business. I liked that they kind of just seen the game out. They knelt on fourth down at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that was exactly, but Belichick was still going for it, and he was throwing on fourth down on his own 10-yard line. So just an overall weird game. I don't think there's too much to take from it. Chiefs, do the professional job and get it done. Patriots put up a bit of a fight, which, considering how things were, on that Germany trip with Indianapolis and how things have been a little in this last season of what we think is Bill Belichick's last season, should I say. I'm not going to say the signs of life there, but I think they are playing for him now at least. I think kind of mid-season, it looked like that kind of fell away a bit. But it feels like more the players are playing for him at least now. I don't know if Bailey Zappi is any better than Mac Jones, but it looks like the players are at least trying.
Yeah, I think they've managed to get something out of Hunter Henry the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think my one takeaway from this is Kadarius Toney is going to cost the Chiefs a playoffs game. He's going to be the reason they lose the playoffs.
Did you see the clip of Mahomes on the sideline just screaming about it? Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen Mahomes that annoyed at a teammate. I mean, I've barely seen Mahomes that annoyed, period, until the week before, which was also Kadarius Toney. He was just blaming the refs for it. But yeah, I kind of hope for his sake he doesn't cost him a playoff game, because I think Patrick Mahomes might murder him because he looks like he's on his last nerve already.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to. I mean, I don't know if because we're so far the season, forgot. But obviously, he was that electric punt return touchdown in the Super Bowl that set him up for the winning score. But yeah, I mean, juggling the ball so much that for somebody else to catch it is crazy. I mean, we saw Kelsey in the end zone dropping stuff. Yeah. We saw Taylor Swift lose his shit in the stands. It was just nuts. But yeah,
I did see someone post like a screen grab of when Tony had two hands on it. It's like, could you believe this leads to a New England interception? It's like, no, I can't, because it's in his hands.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think I think we might not see him anymore, but you just stop throwing to him. I just wouldn't throw the ball if I was Patrick Mahomes to anybody but Travis Kelce, Rasheed Rice, maybe and Jerick McKinnon. Those are the only three people I'm throwing the football to.
Yeah, but it's easier said than done. Sky Moore's on IR now as well. Yeah. I mean, no loss, but it's just another body that's down or not usable.
I wonder what Andy Reid does, because Pacheco will be back, right? So
yeah, he's set to be back this week.
So at the point, do you just say, fuck it, we're just going to run the ball?
That's what I would do. Get Jerick McKinnon, out of the backfield as a receiver, even have two, running backs in the backfield and just spread McKinnon wide, try and get him on wheel routes maybe. Pacheco up the middle.
But can you say that to Mahomes? I'm guessing that's, all these quarterbacks have got egos because, that's how they've got to that position, because they think they're the best and he is the best. So I don't know if you can just say, sorry, Patrick, we're going to run it 30, 40 times and you're going to throw it 10 times, He's not Jimmy Garoppolo or anything like that where you can probably where you just got to accept it.
It's got to be like that, the guy trying to decide which button to press meme. It's like, pass to Kadarius Toney or run the ball. And it's like, fuck, I don't want to do either of these things.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I mean, it's not like, this goes all the way back to opening night. Like, it's not, we're 15 weeks in and we're still seeing the same shit out of these receivers. So, yeah.
And they have sewn up the division, though. That's it feels like now with what's happened. So, at least have one home game.
They will. There'll be at least one home game, yeah. And yeah, maybe two. We'll see. Yeah, let's move on from that one. Dan was on the over Cowboys Bills that didn't hit. I think it was over 50.5. I was on the under, so was Joe for Commanders Rams, which we talked about. Byron, you were on the overtime game. Titans Texans. The battle for the Oilers jerseys that this really should be every year. And the Texans have won it back. So the Texans won 19-16 in overtime. Huge win without CJ Stroud. And again, they're in that three-way tie. Oh, with the tiebreakers, but level with the Jags and Colts in the AFC South. I mean, it's Case Keenum. We were all expecting to see Davis Mills. And we did get to see Davis Mills for one play. But it was Case Keenum that got the start. Did a pretty good job in relief of CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see Case Keenum. I knew that he joined there in the summer, but I'd kind of forgotten about it. And everyone, like says, talking it's going to be Davis Mills. Yeah, I thought I was getting screwed here. I thought there's going to either be 2 field goals or a touchdown to kill me, but yeah, just held on to it. I think I'd be more confident with the under if it was Davis Mills. Case Keenum has shown moments in his career of. I mean, he had that really good year in Minnesota, to be fair. Bobby Sloak has a good scheme, but they're very talent deprived. But yeah, Noah Brown had a good.
No Tank Dell.
Yeah, Noah Brown had a good game though. 82 yards, 8 catches for another touchdown. Devin Singletary was rolling on the ground. I just didn't expect it from the Texans, and delighted to see them win because fuck the Oilers stuff. That's the players might care a little, but I just think it's so disrespectful to the fans. Like, you know, you nick the team and now you want to nick the jerseys and everything else. Like it doesn't sit well with me, I must say.
Like every year, while they're in the same division, the first game should decide who gets to have them, and then in the second game they get to wear them. Yeah,
I mean, at least that's kind of a fun angle on it, as opposed to just the Titans get to be trolls. So yeah, I'd be happy if that was the outcome, I guess, rather than just the Titans just decide to wear them because they've been pricks about it. I don't think it was much of a game, this one. Derrick Henry looks not great.
So that was what I was just about to say.
Player in NFL history to have 20 or more touches and get 15 or fewer yards.
Yeah, we've seen some odd stat lines this season.
And either you're muted, Paul, or my sound isn't working.
Oh, I think it might be your sound. Joe, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Yeah, definitely you, Byron. Odds it was 16 rushes for 9 yards, 0.56 a carry.
I would say as well, I feel like it does prove that some of the refs listen to this podcast because I feel that they backed Byron's FourFold to take away that touchdown in OT. He was like, you know, we need the under here. Let's not give him this this touchdown.
Yeah,
I thought that was.
I think because I was watching it on my computer at that point, and my stream must have been like 30 seconds behind you guys. And I was just like, oh my fucking God. And then, like, as soon as he scores it, Paul's like, oh, it's been called back. I'm like, oh, come on, we're alive for another play.
Yeah, but it hit, yeah. And Texans in a great spot. They've moved to 8-6. Titans fall to 5-9. I think these good kind of yes, you Derek Henry started to make it. These some good situations for the Titans. There's been a lot. It's the second overtime game they've lost. Is that 2 in the last 3? There was no overtime. So like they're competing, they're in games, but they're losing it for draft position. So I think it's a kind of good place to be for Tennessee at the minute.
And now they're eliminated. They're another team who can't make the playoffs.
Yeah, but I think they're in a good spot, and yeah, maybe get Will Levis a bit more help, and they could have a shot next year.
Will Levis can maybe help himself just a little as well. I know he's interferes every week.
I love this guy.
The guy's just a walking concussion.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be very much, and it's hypocritical of me because earlier on in the season I was saying to Andy about Andy Richardson, he's going to get hurt. Stop it. But it is fun to watch. And these Titan games, however long Will Levis is standing upright for in the NFL, I mean, he looked like he got fucked up again big time later on. But yeah, he's just going to be fun to watch. He will try and run over people. He will try and run over 3 people. He will try and stop defensive linemen in the end zone. He just does not give a fuck. He's great to watch.
He only gets 16 points.
Yeah, 16 points. Yeah, fair. Not through want to try, and I don't think. I don't think he's not shy of trying to move the ball down the field.
Yeah, I just think this team's just very old and it does need blowing up. And if they're going to go with Levy, so I think that it's going to take a couple of years before these Titans are competing again.
Yeah, and whether it's going to be with Vrabel as coach or not, who knows? Maybe we see Vrabel in Foxborough. That kind of feels like it. Feels like a good fit. We shall see. Let's move on. And Joe, Dan, finishes us off with. His under was the Broncos against the Lions. We said this was potential get right game for the Lions, and this was, I'm going to say, an absolute shit pumping. They hammered them in the end. Took a while to get going. Again, another one. I think it was 6 or 7 punts to start off with, but once the Lions did get going, they just didn't stop.
Last thing, when you start shit punting, it's hard to stop.
Pumping, not punting.
Oh, sorry, I misheard you. Yeah, I was delighted to see the Lions come in and take care of Sean Payton and his shit pumpers. I just thought it was I like the Lions and I don't like Sean Payton, so
simple as that, yeah. Byron, your sound's going on.
My mic is muting itself here and there. Are we back in?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sean Payton is up charging my audio. Somebody should be. But yeah, Lions nearly got to the 47 by themselves. Sam Laporta, best tight end in football? Best performing tight end in football?
I think you made that argument.
I think he's third on yards. I think it's still Kelsey and Kittle are number 1 and 2, and then he's 3. But, pretty impressive. Yeah, probably an All-Pro. Did they get 1 tight end or 2 tight ends for All-Pro? Not sure.
Just 1, I believe.
Okay, so he might be battling out with Kittle in the NFC, but, certainly deserved it. It's the first time in a while that a rookie tight end has actually formed this way. And you've got to give it up to the Lions. I think everyone, including us, were like, what they're doing with this draft. This is shocking. And then basically all their top 4 picks have turned into absolute studs. Gibbs is coming on now. He's top 5 running back. It feels like the last few weeks. You got Campbell playing really well. You got Laporta, who everyone obviously missed on in the second round, and they got Branch as well, who's one of their best defenders. So you've got to give it up to the GM at that point, because I think everyone killed him in the summer. So, and it was a big win again. It feels like they've sewn up that division where a week or two is like, oh Jesus, the Bears could catch him up, the Packers could catch him up. The Vikings, they were looking a bit tested if they were actually going to win that division. But now it feels like they just need to win 1 game, and that's it. And you can't trust any of the other teams to actually win out as well. So I think it was a big win. I've always felt like the Broncos I've never trusted them, and I wasn't expecting them to get hammered like this. But yeah, I wasn't expecting them to win, because I think they're a kind of team who go on a nice winning streak and then miss out on the playoffs. And because I don't think they're that good of a team, I just think they've been winning a lot of close games, and as soon as you play a big team, it's you get found out.
But they've, I think the Broncos' formula on this run has been just kind of spoil games a little bit, keep them close and stuff like that, and this one just getting and they did actually for kind of that first quarter, actually probably up until just before half time, they did quite a good job of that again, and then it just kind of that. There was just that bit of a blitz in the run up to half time that the Lions had, and all of a sudden it was, whatever it was 21-0. And the game had gone. Really impressive from the Lions. But again, they got the big plays. Any other year, I think you could probably make a case for Sam Laporta being Offensive Rookie of the Year, because he's been that good and that impressive. But you've just had CJ Stroud, Puka Nacua, it's been crazy. I do wish though they got back to running the ball. Talked about that, Gibbs and Montgomery. I just wish they'd give Gibbs more touches. It was 11 rushes for 100 yards and a touchdown. and another touchdown through the air. I just wish that they got him closer to 20 touches a game.
Yeah, I think if you don't have to, though, I can
Yeah.
see it's a long season. It is rookie season. It'd be more fun if he got 20 touches, but I'd rather see him getting 15 in January than burn out in December.
Yeah, but real good spot. And probably the defense, which has been a huge question mark, looked a bit better. So we weren't tested too much by Denver. Getting people back, I think we get CJ Gardner Johnson back this week, which will be huge for that secondary. And I think they've got one big test left. They play Dallas on between Christmas and New Year. I think it's the Saturday, isn't it? I think it's the Monday Night Football that's on the Saturday because of the college football playoffs. So I think that's a big test. And I think maybe, I think if they can win that game, huge statement then going into the playoffs. Lions 10-4, one more win, they'll win the division. Denver 7-7, which is a great spot for Denver to be in, considering they were 1-5. That's the end of our fourfold. So Byron 3-0-1-1. So you got kind of half a win. I was 2-2. Joe, you were 3-1, and I guessed was 1-3. Thanks for putting it back on the screen. So not a great week. I'm officially out of contention. We're down to Joe and Byron fighting it out. There are 12 picks to go. Byron's 5 games up on Joe, who's 1 game ahead of the guest, and I'm 13 games behind Byron. This charity donation is going to be substantial, so pick wisely, whoever the winner is. Looking like it's Byron, odds-on favourite at the minute to see this out.
Don't back me though, because you're luck with favourites.
Yeah. Oh my God, Joe, have you got it on the sheet?
I've just let you know. Yeah, I haven't updated the record at the bottom. I've just realised it's even worse. So Paul, you've got 25. Paul's got 25. Byron's 39. I'm 34, and the guest is 31.
So still 5 games, yeah. So
it's 5 between me and Byron, but I think I've lost 6 more. It's like something crazy where because Byron's pushed 4 times, so he's got 5.5 on me.
5.5 on you, cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, going to be tough to overturn. But Joe, you're hot at the start of the season, so who knows? You may finish off strong, and Byron may drop out. Doesn't look like it at the minute, then. Let's go. We'll cover off the remainder of the games in IATS. There's not too many for us to cover off, I don't think. Start with Thursday Night Football. What the hell is this game? The Raiders 63, the Chargers 21. Brandon Staley and Tom Telesco, the coach and the GM of the Los Angeles Chargers, were left on the tarmac in Las Vegas. Just when you thought it couldn't get any more of a mess for the Chargers, hold my beer.
I think it was as messy as you on Thursday night, Paul, to be honest.
It doesn't need to be broadcast here, Joe.
But I think we talked about it a little bit, and me and Byron did on the bonus pod. It feels like they've just given up now. So it's time to. I think they've actually done the right thing. See how the rest of this year doesn't really matter. Probably try and get a good pick to help Herbert next year. But I think what I've seen, I think they've got high. I think they haven't got a lot of wiggle room. I think a lot of the players are up for contracts, and they've paid a lot of them a lot of money. So it's I don't think it's not one of the positions where if you thought if a new coach would be they've got Herbert and they've got a decent squad, but they've got a lot of players where Bosa might be leaving end of this year. How much they're paying him. A lot of wide receivers are in contract years. They've got a lot of money in this squad, and they've just not played well. And it's because it's not a desirable place, which it might have been a year or two ago.
Yeah, the list, Joe, is incredible of the situation they've got themselves into. I think a lot of this is due to the money they spent on the defense. But the cap hits. Now, I just want to film, but there's a lot, and this is the top end. How much money you've got tied in? $38.5 million. Khalil Mack. So this is the cap hit for 2024. He's had a very good year and stuff like that. Joey Bosa, just over 36.5 million cap hit. Keenan Allen, 34.5 million. Mike Williams, 32.5 million. Derwin James, 19.9. Justin Herbert, 19.4. it's a ridiculous amount of money you've got tied up in those. What, 5 players, 6 players? You've got a lot of work to do to kind of get yourself out of that.
Yeah, and you go all in to win, and they're picking 8th in the draft as it stands. Or both deserve the sack ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right thing to do. And you know what? They could have, just hung on and was just like, "Well, we'll get through it," but it was just that bad. You couldn't, could you? You had to make the change.
I seen someone posted a clip from a Brandon Staley interview 2 weeks ago, or 2 games prior, where he's just like, "Do you think your message is still getting through to the locker room?" He's like, "Yeah, if my message wasn't getting through, we'd be getting blown out in these games." And I just think the players like, "Oh, that's what it needs. Okay, cool. See you, Brandon. We fucking hate you."
Yeah, that's what I need to get rid of you. Vegas, good win. Getting good win for from the Raiders. Home win. Is that does this in itself strengthen the case to keep on Antonio Pierce?
Definitely. I don't think it's enough to give him the job, but yeah, this is a all-time high score for the Raiders, I believe.
Yeah,
in their franchise.
It certainly helps. I think the defense has been playing well, which is his his strength. But I think again, it still comes down to the last 2 games, and it all depends on the owner because there's plenty of interim coaches who do really well. You see it last year where, even with the Raiders a few years ago, they had a few. Who was it now?
Rich Pisaccia.
Yeah, who gone to the playoffs and they still went with someone else who was like more of a glamour pick. So, and I feel like being in Vegas now, are they going to make the right choice? Are they going to go try and get someone who brings people in? Yeah. Don't know if I trust
I think the winning football team is going to bring people in, isn't it? Ultimately, and
but like I said,
it's just giving them something.
It's not Rich gone to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think it definitely helps his case, though. Like it can't hurt it.
Feel like this is a missed opportunity, and maybe we saw it with the Dolphins a little bit as well when they put 70 on the Denver Broncos. The Raiders scored to get to 63 with like 14 minutes left in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
It feels like there's an opportunity when you're at that point, and it might be a bit disrespectful, but it's like, just go get all those records because, like, when are you going to have the chance to do that again? Probably for the Raiders. Never.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think as well, once you get to 63, whose dignity are you protecting?
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
Like, and spoiler alert, it didn't work. Brandon said I got sacked less than 12 hours later. So,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was slagging it off for it being on Thursday Night Football and what an awful game it was going to be. But at least, if you've watched it,
it was fun.
Statement, yeah. Good stuff, right? Enough about that game. So, yeah, I was on the Chargers, funnily enough. I thought they were going to get a win against the Raiders. Yeah. And you two are on the Raiders. Saturday, another overtime game for this week. Vikings, Bengals. I'm going to ask the same question that I did for the Bears. How did the Minnesota Vikings not win this game?
I don't have a good answer. Felt like it was there for them, obviously. Tati Chandler had a huge game. And just let it slip away at the end there. Yeah,
T. Higgins with an unbelievable touchdown catch. That, the reach over. I don't know quite how to describe it. You've seen it. Everyone's seen it. But, yeah, incredible. And, yeah, Jake Browning again, finding a way to win.
Yeah, I mean, obviously credit to Jake Browning. He's been incredible since he came in, and it's surprising because you don't expect that from a career backup. Did you see him? His yell to camera.
Yeah,
good for him. You don't get many chances to stick it to someone who's cut you before, but yeah, that's why you shouldn't fucking cut me. Is incredible tagline.
Yeah, and you've got to have a chip on your shoulder, right? Especially when you're in this position as a backup quarterback and something to drive and push you, and it certainly works. And again, he sort of did it. I know sort of Higgins with the obviously the couple of huge plays, in particular touchdown catch. But again, they did it spreading the ball around again. Yeah. It wasn't just on Jamar Chase. It wasn't just on T. Higgins. Chase, I think, they're going to miss for at least a week, which is big, but not as big as it might have been because, again, they're getting the ball to everybody.
Yeah, I would say the big... Sorry, Brian, you go first.
I say if you'd said at the start of the season that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were going to be missing down the stretch for the Bengals, and they're still in contention for the playoffs, I wouldn't believe you. Never mind, I'd be stunned. I just wouldn't believe you. So absolute credit to Zach Taylor for getting them on track here.
Yeah, I was going to say I think the biggest injury is probably DJ Ridder on that defense. I think he's probably, you could easily argue he's the best defensive player, and he's out for the season. And they felt like a defense was slightly getting better, but when you start losing your big players, it starts affecting. Again, when it's like when they play, because I feel like all their games are going to come down to 3 points. It feels like going forward, and it has been the last few weeks, and it's them kind of star players who make the difference. Like I said, with Chase being out, I think it changes the game plan. I think it's helped Higgins actually coming back, because I think he's had a disastrous contract year, and I think this game's helped, but he needs to step up. And can he do that for the next few weeks? Obviously, that'll determine if the Bengals get in the playoffs or not. Because I think you said like Chase might be out for even more than a week. It could be 2 or 3 weeks. And I think that is massive when it's a close game, when they need someone to take control. Chase is still that man. I know Higgins did it on Sunday, but can you rely on him to be the number one constantly when the opposition's covering him more? It's going to be a big task, but got to give him credit. And I think it's a lot missed opportunity for the Vikings, where I feel like Nick Mullins, it shows why he's a backup. I think even for 49ers, I think he's got the most interceptions or turnovers than most of the players. He's just a turnover machine, and you just can't do that when your squad is depleted and you're playing these tight games, because they should have scored quite a few. I think, Paul, you weren't too happy with Mullins in the first half with how many missed opportunities they had.
Yeah, I was on the over on this game that hit, but I was also on the Vikings for this purpose, and I had him in a parlay as well, and a moneyline parlay. They should have won this game. Not only should they have won this game, they had this game won, and that obviously they kind of came back from it a bit, but the interception where he throws it to the guy on the floor is unreal. Like, I know I talked about that Ridder one was bad. Like this he throws it to the guy on the floor. There's no more than, I wonder if that's like the closest in terms of distance that ball, the least amount of distance a ball's traveled to be intercepted in NFL history. To go from kind of where Mullins was spinning around trying to throw it to that guy on the floor, like it's probably like a foot, 18 inches that ball traveled, maybe.
Like a handoff.
Yeah.
Which if he'd literally done it, there'd be questions of fixing.
Yeah. And I think for me, a little bit, we've praised Kevin O'Connell a lot because of how he's managed the situation and all that. To get half a yard on that drive in overtime, and you have 2 plays, and you get the smallest play you have to try and push Nick Mullins a yard when you've got Ty Chandler there that's having a career day.
Yeah.
And then they do it again. That's the crazy thing. They do it twice in a row.
It's madness.
Well, they're never going to suspect it a second time, are they?
Yeah. Nick Mullins is a huge guy who can batter himself over. Yeah, it's just.
Well, I mean, Jalen Hurts bench, squat 700. I think Nick Mullins squats 70, so it's worth a try.
Yeah, just odd. And again, that'd be huge for the Vikings to go 8 and to get to 8-6, playing the Lions twice, and But again, I think they obviously might be on the outside looking in now in the NFC. But yeah, Bengals roll on, and effort. Without obviously Burrow out for the season, without Chase, I think they're favourites because they're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Just one before you move on there too. Well, we're not going to cover the Steelers again, but just one more Jake Browning shout out. Incredible start. NFL's been tracking QB starts since the 1950 season. This is per Field Yates. Just one QB in that time has 1,000 passing yards and completed over 75% of his passes in his first 4 starts. Yeah. Obviously, it's Jake Browning.
Incredible. Yeah, he's doing such a good job. Yeah. See if he can keep it going against the Steelers. They lost that game, right? He started that game and they lost a few weeks ago, didn't they? At home. It was like 13-10. Good chance to beat them because they are garbage.
And down.
Yeah. So yes, you two were on the Bengals. I had a rough start with the ATS picks. I had a bad week. You two on the Bengals. I was on the Vikings. Me and Baron on the Steelers. Joe, you were on the Colts. We've covered that game. I was on the Broncos. You two on the Lions. And then I finally got on the board with Tampa, me and John Tampa, Byron on the Packers. We were all on the Tennessee Titans. We talked about that game. The Texans won that in overtime. All on the Chiefs. We talked about Jets Dolphins. 30-0. Just complete domination. I think, to be expected, I didn't think fully expected the Dolphins to win this comfortably. I thought we might have got a little something out of the Jets. What we got was Zach Wilson, then Trevor Siemian. Again, we're back on the carousel again.
Mm-hmm. It feels like it was a give-up game, kind of performance where that kind of performance could get Salah sacked at the end of the year. Obviously, we didn't know what's going to happen. They're officially eliminated for the playoffs, so might not see. We'll see what Aaron Rodgers does, if it's going to be one of he would have come back, but he's not going to come back now. Yeah. That kind of because
he's already planted it.
Yeah, because that O-line as well is an absolute atrocious. It's like when you see the first touchdown. Oh no, the first fumble by Zach Wilson. I think it's who's a left tackle for Jets. He went high in the draft. Yeah, he just completely missed his guy. He just blocked no one, let a guy run through, so the tailback had to get him, and then Zach Wilson got blown up. And I think he got hit a number of times. Miami's not, I wouldn't say they're a powerhouse kind of defense, but they looked it against the Jets because it was just too easy for them. And I think I put some money on the Jets once Hill was out, because I was thinking, they might keep it tight, and it just, absolute stinker.
Yeah. Chubb got 3 sacks on that defense. It was just, porous. That line is worse than Swiss cheese, and it's so bad. And even if Rodgers wouldn't have got injured on that first drive,
injured at some point.
He got injured at some point. Yeah,
40-year-old man. He's not Joe Flacco, is he?
Few are. Between that turf at MetLife and that whole line at MetLife, you're getting injured.
Jets that 5-9. Dolphins, obviously no Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle steps up, 8 receptions, 142 yards and a touchdown. Just picked up where Tyreek had left off.
Yeah, I love Jalen Waddle, and I think he gets overlooked a lot because he's wide receiver 2 to the best wide receiver in football this year, so it's understandable. But I always love seeing him have these big breakout games, and long may it continue. I presume Tyreek will be back for next week though to play Dallas, so that'll be fun.
I think we're going to see. I think we can call that the Fraud Bowl next week. Cowboys, Dolphins, Fraud Bowl.
I was leaving this one for the preview, but it's the first game in NFL history between teams with 20 plus combined wins, but 1 or fewer wins versus teams above 500.
Yeah.
Fraud Bowl it is, yeah.
The Fraud Bowl. We're going to have a lot of Dolphins Cowboys talk for our preview. We've got an interview with Andy Davis, a UK-based NFL sports journalist, writes for the Premier League as well as a huge Dolphins fan. So we'll have a huge, a bit of a big Cowboys Dolphins preview for that one, given the nature of our fandom. Bears, Browns, we've talked about. Me and Byron on the Bears. Push, wasn't it? +3. I keep forgetting. I saw it because it was at 3.5 at one point, and I was like, why didn't I get it 3.5? Push Bears and Bears Browns. Giants, the Tommy DeVito ride, I think, has come to an end. The scene in The Godfather when Sonny gets killed. If you're fans of The Godfather film, and they're like, Brando, I don't want to do the impression, but Brando as Michael Corleone's doing what they've done to my beautiful boy, sort of thing. That's kind of how I felt for Tommy DeVito here, because the Saints roughed him up bad.
I think it was just interesting to see them turn cutlets into gumbo.
He's been sat on that for a few days.
Yeah, good work.
Yeah, and I think you got to give this. That's probably the Saints' best performance this year. I know we've been giving him a lot of flack, and we've at least got one fan who's not too happy. So you got to give them praise when they actually play well. And they're still in an NFC South race. Since that kind of team, I think we've said it enough times where they'll win this game comfortably and then they'll shit the bed somewhere else. But yeah, so we'll see how they get on going forward. But yeah, best performance. I think Carr had a good game as well. The defense had a great game. It's a game. A few weeks ago, you were like, New Orleans should win that comfortably, but the Giants have played better recently. So, come back down to earth. But I also can see the Giants beating the Eagles at some point. So it's, just one of their middling games.
Yeah, not sure I approve of the Saints defense giving the after sacking Tommy DeVito. Yeah,
I 100% do. You want to become
have you heard what the guy said? Who did it? He was like, "I'm from Philadelphia. There's plenty of Italian guys there."
I love it. Well, they're not all allowed on the sidelines anymore, unfortunately. Philadelphia.
The tide might have turned against Tommy DeVito, so don't check the sources on this one. But I don't know if you've heard, he was due to give an appearance at a restaurant in New Jersey. I guess, I don't know if it was yesterday or at some point. And obviously he's blown up a bit. They agreed a fee, an appearance fee. He then backed out, wanted double the fee. And then explained his way out of it, but that's just made him look like more of a scumbag to say there wasn't an actual contract. It was just, a text agreement, which makes him and his agent, look like a bit of a scumbag, which is a shame because I was hoping that Tommy wasn't going to turn out that way.
Well, his reputation might well be sleeping with the fishes.
Let's move on. Yeah, Saints get 7-7 in that race.
Before you do move on, we don't get to shout out the Saints in a positive sense very often. I know that gets a lot of some people don't like that. Some of our biggest fans. Do you know the Saints are 9th in the NFC playoff hunt? The 9th seed if it was all seeded all the way down. They have the 4th best point differential in the NFC.
Haven't they got the easy schedule like in history? I'm sure some of the stuff like that.
Don't need to caveat that, Joe. Yeah. We're trying to appeal to our fan base here. Trying to give them some good news. Saints have a big win. They're 4th in point differential, ahead of the Vikings, ahead of the Eagles, ahead of the Rams, ahead of the Bucks, ahead of the Packers. And Joe just wants to shit all over it. But I thought that was noteworthy. I thought that was really cool. And, great for the Saints. You're only behind Detroit, Dallas, and San Fran in point differential on the season.
Fair. You mentioned that they're 9th, right? Is there a situation, and I don't want to go back, you've done the playoff preview, go listen to it. It's available on our Spotify and our YouTube. Is there a world where we get 2 NFC South teams in the playoff? There's one of them sneaking as a wild card.
No, because we've already predicted it. We've already predicted it, Paul. No, you should have listened to the episode.
I did listen to it. It was very good. Good work. But I'm just sort of saying 7-7 in the 9th.
It could, but the Bucks and the Saints do play each other, which doesn't help that scenario.
Yeah, I guess you'd need them to both win their other games and get to 9 and 7, right?
And they have a tough one on Thursday Night Football.
Yes, they do. Which against they win that one, that's the tiebreaker. They'd have so that's what I mean. Like it'd be crazy if that division produced 2 playoff teams. According to you guys, it won't. Giants 5-9. 2 games against the Eagles. We need. Well, I say me and Byron need them to pull one out against the Eagles. At least one.
At least one, yeah.
At least one. Maybe even 2, but we'll see. But definitely thought Derek Carr's best performance as a Saint, and apparently it was his birthday as well on Sunday. So happy birthday to Derek Carr. Didn't get murdered like he usually gets, and has done so far this season in the backfield. Joe, let's get on to your. No, we're not there yet. We're all on the Falcons. Talked about that game enough. All on the Rams that covered. Joe, let's get to your San Francisco 49ers, NFC West champions, with a very comfortable 45-29 victory over the Arizona Cardinals. Did we learn anything else about the Niners with this one, or was this just taking care of business?
It was similar to last week, where it doesn't even feel like they played well, but somehow scored 45 points. Like, they played good, but it felt like they just coasted it. There was issues with the defense where I think they got ran all over. I think Cardinals ran for 245 yards or something like that. But they are missing their best 2 defensive tackles. So, I think Purdy had a great game. Debo again. I keep putting money on Ayuk to get a touchdown, and they're just not throwing to him for touchdowns anymore. It feels like they just said it's Debo's month. But no, I don't think we learned too much. I think it was a comfortable win. They just couldn't stop the 49ers. There was a few touchdowns where, I think one of us 3 could have scored it because they were so open. It was crazy. So McCaffrey had another great game. I think I sent you this stat. He's got 7 touchdowns against the Cardinals this year, which is a joint record for a player against a team. So a few concerns on the defensive line, but I put that to injuries, and I think having Ward back on that back end, I think he's putting his case in for an all-pro kind of season as well, because he's catching some interceptions now, and he's looking. Yeah, I think he's one of the Jenga pieces where if he's out, it's a bit, worrying with that backfield. But yeah, can't really complain. Just tidy up a few things, and I think now with how the week went, it couldn't have got any more perfect. Where they can lose to the Ravens now and still easily get that number 1 seed.
I think we can put that in the book now, can't we?
Yeah, I think if they beat the Ravens, that's it. It's number 1 seed. If they lose it, they're still favourites. With I think they got the Rams at home, and I think they got another cupcake. So, no, they might have the Rams at home, but they've got the Rams anyway.
They've got to play the Rams week 18.
Yeah,
and they've said they got a tough one with the Ravens, but yeah, I think 1-1 will do it. They've got to play the Commanders as well, and that could get ugly.
Just on your note there about CMC's 7 touchdowns, if you only had his 2 games against the Cardinals this year in fantasy football, he would be the running back 43 in 2 games against the Cardinals.
2 games. Is he? I thought he was gonna. I sadly had too much to do to overturn the first leg deficit in my game, but he put up 30-odd points, and it looked good for a while. I was in a position to hopefully do it, but I was let down by Lawrence and a couple of others.
Well, it was fun. He got withdrawn with like 10 minutes to go as well. I think that didn't help. It's the game when Sam Darnold was coming in. That was the only worrying part, is when Brock was down and he went off injured, and it was like, you saw Darnold, and for some reason they let him throw twice straight away, not just hand it off to the running back. But yeah, Purdy was all right. And yeah, I think McCaffrey, he had a knee injury for it, like they had to tape it up, and again that was worrying, but he came back in. So I think it feels like with the 49ers, it's just injuries what's going to derail them going forward.
They've got an opportunity to here, and not necessarily in that Ravens game or whatever, but get that week 17 win against the Commanders. It's done then. Take 2 weeks. You get an opportunity 2 weeks off, rest people up.
I don't think Shanahan will do that. I think they've got that rivalry against the Rams. I think because I think the Rams will probably need to win that to get just maybe sneak in. So I think the 49ers would love just to beat them and keep them out. And I don't like when a team has 2 weeks off. I think there's always a worry that are they going to lose something, or they lose that momentum. So I get what you're saying. I think they can rest a few players who are struggling with injuries, like Greenlaw. He keeps picking them up, but I think they'll still play the big players even if they've sewn up that number 1 seed. But can't really complain too much.
Yeah, great position to be in. Great to have the decision. Cardinals 3-11. Yeah, again, you've been frisky at times, but yeah, not much more to say than that. We talked about we were all on Dallas, all bought into the Cowboys as underdogs. Got whomped in Buffalo. All on the Ravens, who covered a game that I still don't believe that they won. And then Monday Night Football. Let's have a little bit of chat on Monday Night Football. This put a smile on my face. Apologies. Not really apologies, but small apologies to Eagles fans. And they are this is now full on crisis for the Eagles. They look fucking abysmal.
Yeah, they do. I mean,
they look so bad.
They're awful against the pass. They're not great on any kind of offense other than tush pushing. They look all at sea. And I mean, I said weeks ago, I think they can lose this game in Seattle. I picked Seattle to win. I bet Seattle on the money line. I don't think there's much difference between the two teams. And that was with Drew Lock starting. And I mean, obviously it played out that way. And it's not, but it's there on the screen that I picked Seattle. It's not like I'm being smart after the event. The Eagles just look like a lost team.
I backed the Seahawks. So when the reports came out that Jalen Hurts may or may not play, he did play. The Seahawks were still +4. So even though I went for the Eagles on the ATS, I backed the Seahawks +4. And really I should have picked them for this, but obviously we do this way earlier in the week. And I mean, again, it took an unbelievable drive from Drew Lock at the end. He went to the big play. DK came up big with a couple of catches. Metcalf, the particular one on the sidelines, an incredible catch. Yeah. And then, some lax coverage and a great ball over the top for JSN to score the game winner. But yeah, a mess. Joe, how you feel? You're talking about it was a good week for the Niners. Eagles are in a bad place. The Cowboys look like shit. Yeah, I mean, is this just rolled into the Super Bowl now?
I think I still wouldn't say that. The Eagles are still. I think the Eagles haven't really changed from earlier in the season. That like they still could have won that if they just obviously that last drive. It took a big drive at the end to actually. I think they were like winning them kind of games earlier on. So I don't think. And with the 3 games they've got coming up, I think if they had like some tough oppositions, they could easily win the next 3 and then suddenly they're on a roll again. And I think it is all about confidence, and they could still win. If they win them games, they've still won the NFC East. So I feel like they're definitely not as scary as last year. I think there's chinks in the arm. I'm not as worried as playing them in the playoffs this year, but there's still a team which, if they went to the Super Bowl, I still wouldn't be surprised if they just turned it around because they've still got good players. I think their defense is not as good as it was or advertised. So, any given Sunday, the Niners could lose to the Cowboys and Eagles, but I don't think it's as like a 50-50 game as it was maybe like earlier in the season or last year, especially against the Eagles. So, yeah, like I said, these next 3, if they lose one of these next 3 games, then it is huge crisis. I think you still got to put into perspective that I know they've lost the last 3 games, but they have lost to the 2 teams who probably the best teams in the NFC. So I think it's how they respond next week. But I think they can now get picked off in the playoffs by one of the wildcard teams, which I wouldn't have said a few weeks ago. If they play the Rams or the Seahawks again, maybe not an NFC South team, but
they might be one of the wildcard teams, Joe. Let's not put that in the bank that they've won the division yet.
Well, Cowboys have still got 2 tough games.
We've got 2 really tough games, but I don't know. I like Tommy DeVito's chances against the Eagles at the minute.
Yeah. No, I could see that, but I'm also like, I wouldn't be surprised if they put a stomping on them as well. When Hurts is, you got to put into account he was ill against. I know he wasn't ill against the 49ers and Cowboys and still got absolute trance. So, yeah, I'm still not giving up on them where they're gonna, lose the next 3 games, or I still think they'll win that division and possibly win a playoff game. But I'm just not as confident as I was where they had that winning mentality. Where now it feels like putting Matt Patricia in charge. It's like when was the last time he was a good coordinator? He had Bill Belichick on his who was basically running it when he was at Patriots, and he was an absolute disaster at Lions. So I think that kind of thing is the way. Like, well, obviously something's going on in the locker room where something's happened where they needed to make that change. I think that's more worrying than some. Yeah,
real sign of desperation. I think that they needed to try and get some out of the defense, and maybe the defense did play a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, Hurts. I'm not buying the. Yeah, Hurts was poorly reported. It was fine to run about. It was 13 carries for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns. So it was fine to run about. So I don't know if I buy that much. That's affected his performance. He's not been great the last few weeks. Full stop. The 2 interceptions are awful. His turnovers are a massive problem. The second one, obviously, they have not a lot of time left, but I think it was Devontae Smith was kind of wide open. He had a check down wide open and just threw a terrible.
Yeah, I would say the first one's the worst because they were winning by 4.
Yeah.
So they needed to score that touchdown. The Seahawks only had 1 timeout left because Pete Carroll just shouldn't be trusted with them. They should hand it to someone else. And they could have just gone down the field to kick the field goal and he's 7 points. And he did that against the Jets as well earlier in the year, where he's going for like some big time balls down the field when he doesn't need to. He could just check it down and just. They're a weird team because they'll also have these drives where they just look dominant, like the first one of the game, and then the one after the Seahawks got a touchdown. It was like, they've won this game because they just dominate that way where it just looks easy for them to go down the field, and then suddenly they just don't do anything with any of the other drives. They're a weird team like that.
Yeah. Seahawks, from their perspective, bat 7-7, they needed one of these games in this gauntlet because of the games that they dropped. They've got 3 very winnable games, 10-7. They're probably going to get in now. That might be a bit extreme, but it's in their hands to get in. Win those 3 games, Titans, Steelers, Cardinals, you're in, 10-7.
I think if they win out, they'll get in, but I don't trust them to win out. I still don't think they're a good team. I think, I feel just like an average team who can beat a big team on a given day, but could also lose to the Titans next week. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, Fair. So, yeah, interesting. In their hands. That brings an end to our games that have a look at. ATS picks. Joe had the best week, 9-5-2. Byron a game behind, and I was 6-8-2. Joe's got 2-game lead over Byron. I'm probably getting out of it now. I'm 8 games. I needed a big week this week to get back in touch, but we shall see. Joe leading the way in that one. Let's rattle through our. Let's go our bets. How did we do this week? Couple of bets that we hit big. I went 5-1, so I just had a bit of a mediocre week, really. I will not learn on these overs. I will not learn.
Mine was mixed. Didn't hit any weekly winners for the. I don't know if I hit one last week either, but yeah, I've been on a good streak with it otherwise. But yeah, this week was lousy. I had Raheem Mostert, who got 2 touchdowns, but I think he ended with 20 yards. So that's got to be one of the worst bets I've placed in that market. Brandon Ayuk, like Joe mentioned, it's Debo month apparently, so I should have realised that before I started betting on it. And Matthew Stafford, I thought was going to go off. It's the shortest I've ever bet a weekly leader. He was plus 700 and, didn't come close. Bears DST was a nice hit at plus 850. Seahawks money line, I can't remember what number it was, but that was a nice hit last night. And I think those were the biggest ones I had, and obviously the FourFold and a push for the weekly FourFold.
Yeah, nice. I hit I have Bengals Vikings over, pushed on the Bears. Chiefs Patriots, Chiefs minus 8.5. Niners Cardinals over 48. Rams minus 6.5, and Seahawks plus 4. And I had some bad losses. I went Giant. Why did one of you guys let me bet Giant Saints over? Tommy DeVito hype. Steelers I'm off. No more Steelers plus numbers. Broncos Lions under. Cowboys and over on Sunday Night Football. How that over didn't hit. Jaguars left so many points on the field. Joke. Robbed.
Yeah, and I went for the Ravens Jags as well over, which didn't hit. Bears Browns pushed on the over under as well, so it was a push all around that kind of game.
Push.
Yeah, it was 37. I went for over on that, and I had the Falcons and Jets, which let me down, and not a great week. Cowboys let me down my FourFold.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see when the last time a double push was, a push on the spread and a push on the point on the total. Last time that happened was. Don't recall it.
I forgot one of my fun ones of the week as well. I had Ty Chandler over 87.5 rushing yards that hit plus 500. It was so long ago, these Saturday bets.
Yeah.
We had a great start to the weekend on Saturday. Kind of
nice. Cool. Let's do Fantasy Game Day, winners and losers quickly, and then we'll look swiftly at some Thursday Night Football, not Sunday. That's for another show. Fantasy Game Day. So a reminder, go and join the fastest growing and a daily NFL fantasy game in the UK, Fantasy Game Day. Go download the app now. It's available on the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, wherever you get your apps from. Download, register using promo code COVER, all in capital letters. Charlie Oscar Victor Echo Romeo, and you'll get a free entry after your first play. So it's 2 for 1. People are walking away. I think winners were 120 quid again this week. Prizes for the top 20% of entries, which was 29 people this week. We've got a Christmas Eve for the Sunday slate, and we've got a bonus Christmas Day game for next week as well. So 2 opportunities to play with the triple header on Christmas Day as well. Winner this week, 49ers based, right? We saw CMC captain for 83 points. Made sense after this huge game. Purdy at quarterback, and then Debo, so that triple header, and then nothing massive elsewhere. I guess Njoku from a tight end perspective. He's really favoured target for Joe Flacco. I think that's 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games, but also 10 receptions and over 100 receiving yards.
And obviously having 2 quarterbacks with McKinnon on his team.
Yeah, a passing touchdown from McKinnon as well. But 49ers heavy. There was a lot, unsurprisingly, due to the matchup, a lot of Rams heavy teams, and maybe the Rams just didn't. If the Rams had got to 40 points, then maybe we'd have seen a Rams-based team win. But I think it was just the Niners putting that extra beating on the Cardinals is what made the difference. I suppose Samuel as well, with 2 receiving touchdowns for Washington, made that a 20-point pick. Reed with a nice one. And then, we had Zeke in ours as well. They had Zeke and it didn't really pay off. But, yeah, pretty solid lineup.
Yeah, game choice is crucial for them and, paid off for them.
Yeah, good work. Congrats to Navy 4140, whoever you are. Maybe we'll invite the winner on 1 week to talk us through their team. That'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, one of the guys who wins a lot, to be fair, he does a preview. Rich, I think he's called. I forget his name exactly. On
Fantasy Island guy, isn't it?
Island, yeah. I was going to say it's Dynasty Island, Fantasy Island, yeah.
Oh, it might be Dynasty Island.
But yeah, we should reach out and see if he wants to pop on 1 week to preview and go through our lineup with us.
Help us out.
See what he recommends, yeah.
Yeah. I'm pushing his promo code on that ass. So Fantasy Game Day done. Let's finish off with winners and losers. We can go through Thursday Night Football tomorrow when we do our recording for our preview. Winners and losers. Joe, do you want to do the honours? Kick us off with your winner of the week.
Let's go 49ers. Couldn't have done. Couldn't script it any better with the losses for the Cowboys and the Eagles and comfortable win to the Cardinals. And clinch the NFC West.
Yeah,
and not complain.
Pretty good week all around. Byron, your winner of the week.
Baker Mayfield. First ever perfect passer rating in Lambos, opposing QB. Leading the division. Going to be getting a contract that matters. Yeah, go Baker.
Yeah, pretty good. I'm going to say Los Angeles Chargers fans, just because they finally got rid of Staley. So let's go. So brighter days are coming for you guys. Loser of the week. I guess I stole a big loser of the week there as well. That could have been obviously a hot selection for loser of the week. Byron, your loser of the week.
I'm going Mike Tomlin. Kind of the magic is wearing off by the week, it feels like. And it feels like the atmosphere has soured enough that the time might be coming up for an end for him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Joe, your loser of the week.
Let's just... I'm going to flip into the Chargers fan as well because I think the next few years are going to be like this.
Yeah.
So the winners and the losers.
Winners and losers. My losers, I've got a huge collection of losers. Anybody that was at that Carolina Panthers Atlanta Falcons game, so whether you're playing, coaching, spectating, it was just a miserable 3.5 hours of football. So if you were there in that building, you're my loser of the week because that was fucking grim. That's it from us then, gents. That was week 15 in the books. We are, I don't know how many percent of the way there, but I suppose about 80-90% of the way there now. Not too long to go before we hit the end of the regular season. Too early for Merry Christmas. We've got another episode, haven't we? We'll do that tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. As always, go give us a follow. Make sure you follow us on Spotify. Good Teams Win Great Teams Cover. You'll be notified of new episodes when they drop. Give us a follow on Twitter, X, Instagram, YouTube, where have I forgot? TikTok at GTW_GTC. You'll get all our bets post, our video version of the podcast if you like to see our faces, if you're kind of that way. Joe reminded me we've got 2 episodes before Christmas and not one. I'm lost.
You're very lost. It's not even Joe.
Oh, was it you? Sorry. It's been a long day. Anyway, just go follow us on all those channels. We'll be back later in the week with our week 16 preview show. We've got a couple of great guests. Andy Davies, sports journalist, accredited sports journalist, great guy as well. And we've got Simon from the UK Steelers podcast as a guest. Great opportunity to talk to him about Mike Tomlin, see what he thinks as our guest pick for the week. So check us out. And until next time, thanks for watching us here at Good Teams Win Great Teams Cover. Enjoy the rest of your week.